Ooh, it's actually working this time. Awesome. Oh yeah. Check one, two, check.
let's try it this way. Maybe this way will work better. I don't know. Like I said, I have never done this before. I am totally new to all of this. Uh, let's do some. Do. Think that's the one. Maybe that's the one. I'm not sure. This is also why I'm doing everything. There it is. This is also why I'm doing everything at like nighttime because, um, like when it comes time to this, like I don't want bad things to happen here. All right, let's see if this is better. Oh, that's right. I can't watch it there. This is great. Okay, let's try it on this and see what it sounds like. So there might be some echoing here in just a second, but there might be some echoing here in just a second, but there might be some echoing here in just a second, but there might be some echoing here in just a second, but there might be some echoing here in just a second.
Well, that is so weird.
But
okay. It just keeps
there
repeating
might
itself
be
over and over
some-
again. This is so weird for me. Like I said, folks, I have rarely ever done this before.
This is the first time that I'm doing this whole let's do some streaming and stuff like that. I've never done any of that stuff before. I think this is going to put me to sleep though. I think we need to change this music here. Let's see. What can we change it to? Ooh, there we go. There we go, getting my heart beating here. Okay. So now that I have all this ready to go here, I could talk a little bit about what's going on in the studio where I am right now. So I actually have two studios. So I have the glass blowing studio, which is my home studio. And once I get this figured out, I'm gonna do that too. Kind of like a podcasty thing, I guess. I don't really know how to describe that. But the cool thing about that is that, you know, we have different, I guess, attributes to it. So that's pretty neat. I'm just going to share this live with people. Hopefully people message me because I really want to make sure this works because I've never done this before. All right. We'll send it there. We're going to send it to Black Dragon. Describe that. But again, describe that. describe that. Um, describe that. Describe that. Okay. Describe that. Describe that. Describe that. Describe that. Describe that. I love when that happens. Like, it's so weird right now. Okay, so we're gonna share this again. Messenger. All right, let's see if that works. We don't know if this is gonna work. So, that's interesting. Oh, did I just really do that? I think I did. Yes, I did. Crap. All right. So yeah, one of the biggest things that I have to like consider and worry about and stuff like that is last year I did not keep good records whatsoever. Like horrible records. Absolutely horrible records. And yeah, there we suffered because of that. So I was like, nope, got to do some better things off. So that's what we're doing today, is we're working on that. Anybody else like the 80s? I like the 80s. It's because I was born in the 80s, but that's beside the point. That's beside the point. See, now what I'm trying to figure out now is what I'm worth, which sounds so weird to me. Like, really sounds weird. You know, what am I worth? Woo! So, you know, breaking down things of, okay, how much time does it take me to make this piece? You know, how much oxygen do I go through? How much propane do I go through? What is that price per hour? So on and so forth. And, you know, it gets a lot. It gets to be a lot because it's a lot of math and thinking about it. And one of the biggest problems I had last year was I just sat back and just was the artist. And the problem with that is it's not that I don't trust anyone. It's the fact that things were going unlooked because I wasn't involved. So the person that was running the business didn't really truly understand because I didn't communicate because I was just the artist. Like, just the white guy. So this year I'm really excited too because we are, goodness gracious, we have so much we're doing this season and I am super excited about it. Like, super excited. Alright, so now I gotta figure out all these and all these. Yeah. I gotta figure all these prices back out again because this is not correct. But hey, that's what this is for. So let's see. Alright, one hitters. Let's bring up a calculator. The calculator. Alright, so it's $10 per hour divided by 15 minutes. So 66 cents. Swirl bowls. They take me a while. It's not that they're hard to make, it's they're time consuming. Like very time consuming. One regular bowl can take me an hour to make, and that's it. But a swirl bowl has so many more steps in it that unfortunately we have to charge a little bit more. But I mean, they have benefits. Not only do they look really cool, but the fact that they, it takes a pretty good amount of time to make. But they're also super thick because you're layering. So regular bowls, we just use heavy wall. 19 millimeter tube. There we go. Heavy wall 19 millimeter borosilicate tube. So we don't really have to worry about anything with that. However, when we do the swirls, we are layering a cane over top of that, and the cane is made by taking I think it's a 6 or 9 millimeter solid clear rod and striping colors on it. And as you heat both of them in the flame and you twist, it really creates this neat swirl pattern. Then once everything is laid down, you got to melt it all in together so that you don't see the definite lines of one cane lining up with the other cane. And I mean, the whole process takes probably close to like 2 hours to do. So it adds an hour of time onto making the bowls. But because you're adding that cane to it, you're making the thickness even thicker. So it definitely takes a lot more oxygen to make them. I mean, it's more propane too, but that is the weirdest thing with glass blowing. Like, when I was doing, well, I'm still doing, but when I did all this figuring out for iron, it was a different story altogether because it was cut and dry. My coal costs blah 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 a pound, or for a 50-pound bag. 50-pound bag will last me about 4 weeks, 5 weeks, sometimes 6. So you're talking pennies for every item. And then the timing, what is my time worth? About $20 an hour. How long does it take me to make pieces? You know what I mean? It's cut and dry, very simple. With glass, it's a whole different ballgame. I would think that we'd go through a lot of propane, because in the smithing world, when we used a propane forge, and we've done that, we've used propane forges before, it was nothing. It would go through propane so quickly, it was not even funny. Like, it was absolutely redonkulous. I remember that we stopped using the barbecue tanks and started using 100-pound tanks, because we'd go through a barbecue tank in like an hour, and that was shutting off the flame in between forging, which adds more to going back and forth. Now, I don't agree with those blacksmiths out there that say that they like propane forges better. That may be great for them. I'm an old-time smith. Give me my tabletop coal-fired forge with a hand crank blower. If I have a lot of things to do, then absolutely I will use the electric blower. But that's only if I'm really got a lot to do. My blacksmith shop has been pretty much shut down for the winter, because it gets way too hot in that, or way too cold, excuse me, not hot, way too cold in that blacksmith shop for me to work there. Um, the funniest thing is, and we actually tested this too, the anvils are so thick that when they get below freezing for a certain period of time, you put a hot piece of iron on the face of that anvil and it sucks all the life out of that piece that you're trying to work hot. It's like a big heat sink. And I mean, in the books and stuff like that, they tell you about how blacksmiths used, the first thing they would do in the winter time, when they would go into the shop, they would start the forge and they would put a big, inch thick piece of steel in the forge, and that would be the first thing that they would heat up. And then they would put that on the anvil, and some of them would put a coffee pot on top of that, so it'd make their coffee and warm their anvil. But I don't got time for that. It's one of those things that inventory wise, I can take the winter off in the blacksmithing aspect of it, because I have enough inventory made for the previous season. So I can shut the blacksmith shop down for the winter and just be in the glass shop. And the glass shop, people think that because I have this huge forge that it gets really hot in the glass shop. No, all that heat goes right up the chimney. And it's designed specifically for that, and because of bringing the smoke up. But on top of that too, you also got to realize that the fire in the forge is no bigger than a small saucer. Anything bigger than that, and you're wasting fuel. So, you work in the wintertime and half of your side is nice and toasty and half your side is freezing to death. And as soon as you walk away from that forge, even though it's like 2 steps to the anvil, you're cold. Yeah, no, it's not fun in the wintertime whatsoever. At least in the glass shop, when you're working with that torch, especially the larger torch, my Red Max, there's the word. When I work with my Red Max, it gets hot. Like, takes hoodies off, just in the t-shirts. It's hot. When I first get out there, I have a little small space heater just to keep my extremities from freezing. But once I get maybe about an hour into the groove of forging things, heck, I don't have to worry about anything anymore. But this is what this is. I'm going to start doing this streaming. I'm going to start doing this so that we can talk about things like that. Whether you're a glass blower, a blacksmith. Let me give you a little bit of background about myself. I have been blacksmithing since at the age of 7. I'm now 39 years old. Almost the big 40. Woof. So I've been blacksmithing for about 28 years. I've done huge demonstrations for the National Museum of Industrial History, Moravian Blacksmith Shop, all those kind of things. So I've been doing demonstrations for a very long time. So I've been blacksmithing for a very long time. I am self-taught in the blacksmith shop. I literally learned how to be a blacksmith by taking books out in the library. In fact, I took that one book out so many times that years later, unfortunately, it was being taken out of inventory because I wasn't renting it anymore. I had gone off to college, of all things, to be a pastry chef, which, yeah, we won't go into that. But when they asked me to do a speak there, because I was running the Beery Port Blacksmith Shop in Catasauqua, Pennsylvania, it was totally my idea. It was in the old scale house of the Beery House, right off the old canal. And we were demonstrating what a industrial revolution blacksmith shop would look like in a time when wrought iron just hit the Pennsylvania. And the library asked me to come in and do a talk about it. So came in, I had a PowerPoint presentation about the history of Crane Iron Works and how they were the first ones to mass produce iron in the Lehigh Valley. Before Bethlehem Steel, at that time, Bethlehem Steel was Bethlehem Iron Works. And then they became Bethlehem Steel, and Crane Iron Works faded out, and so on and so forth. But long story short, the librarian came up to me and she goes, I've been watching you grow up since you were a little kid. I've been watching you take out the same book over and over again every week. And to see the fact that my library, who's been my baby for years, has made you like this, I have a present for you. And she went in the back and she brought out the book. And I'll never forget the book. The book is called The Blacksmith Primer. It was printed in the 60s, I believe, 50s or 60s. Kind of like a Popular Mechanics thing. But anyway, right in front of the audience, she came out with this book. And she opened the back and she goes, you see this card right here? This book is so old and so forgotten in this library that no one has rented it since you rented it in the year 2001 was the last time I did it, which was my sophomore year in high school, which I had bought a copy by that time, so I didn't need to borrow it from the library anymore. She goes, and sadly, it hasn't been touched since. But when we were digitizing the library and taking out the Dewey Decimal System, which that's a topic we'll talk about later, we decided to not have this in our inventory anymore. Instead of throwing it out, I thought the best thing to do is to give it to the person that gave it the most love. And I was hoping to somehow find you again. And, fate put you in my lap again. And it's right before I retire. She retired exactly a week after my talk. She was a librarian for 38 years, I think she said. I don't remember exactly. She said, but this is my last thing as a librarian that I have to do. And she took the card out and she put an X on it. And she went to the front of the book where the stamp Northampton Public Library was. And she put, Whitehall Public Library, my bad. Whitehall Public Library, and she put an X through it, and she said, I would like to present this to the blacksmith that pretty much learned his passion from us here at the Whitehall Library. And it's absolutely true. I became in love with blacksmithing, and I taught myself blacksmithing because after school or in the summertime, mom and dad didn't believe in air conditioning. And as an adult now that has his own house, I can understand why, because it's expensive. But mom and I would go to the library and we'd just sit there and we'd read. And the first thing I would always get out was that book about blacksmithing. So it was interesting to see my past come back, and now it's a cherished memory on my bookshelf with my other books. I have almost 15 books of blacksmithing, and that's how I taught myself. And now I'm lucky enough to be a point in my blacksmithing career that I can teach other people how to do that. So I actually taught people how to become a blacksmith. I'm going to move that because I keep doing this. There we go. Now it's like I'm looking at you. But I have been fortunate enough to become a teacher. The first place I really did some teaching was the National Museum of Industrial History in Bethlehem. Now, the National Museum of Industrial History was actually started when Bethlehem Steel shut down. So they went in, they grabbed all the industrial tooling, et cetera, and they finally got the grants and the money to be able to build the museum. So while the museum was being built in one of the old electrician shops on the grounds, we would go to different festivals and fairs, and we'd do demonstrations. And I would do a live demo of blacksmithing, and how the process really hasn't changed. You're heating up the metal and you're pounding it different ways, and it's still used today in today's technologies and so on and so forth. But one of the really cool things that was part of that was that the museum had a type of insurance where the parents could sign a waiver, or anyone over the age of 18 could sign a waiver that would say, hey, listen, I want a blacksmith. And they would sign a waiver that, we have no fault in it as long as they follow all the rules and regulations and blah, 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 all that. And what they did is they would come in and we teach them how to forge a little S-hook, and they would take the S-hook home. And it got so popular that I had to do the first half of all the S-hooks because there was just no time to get all the kids in. And my aha moment, and people always ask me, well, did you make money at this? And no, I didn't. I had a 9-to-5 job during the day. What made it worthwhile was seeing, I'll never forget it too, it was the Great Allentown Fair. We were set up for it. We actually had to put out a sign-up sheet because there were so many people requesting to be able, to make something in the forge. So I had to get there bright and early. I think I was there at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I did all the tops of all the S-hooks. So we had about 250, 300 of them made. It was me and another blacksmith. We were just banging them out all day. And I had this one young boy. He had to been about 7, maybe 6 years old. And he came in with a big grin on his face. He was so excited to be a blacksmith. And, it was one of those things that we worked with him. We would hold the hot metal, unless they were like a teenager or something like that. But still, we really grabbed a hold of the tongs just so that nothing goes flying. Learned my lesson there. And we usually have the parents help them hold the hammer and do the hammer marks. And this little guy, and I have pictures of this on my Facebook too. If you're on my Facebook, Black Dragon Iron and Glass, it's there. And he is there, and he is forging this hook. And on a technical side, it looked like it got caught in a lawnmower. I mean, it was bent in all different directions. It was not the best looking thing in the world, but that didn't matter to him, because after it was cooled off and he took off his leather apron and his safety goggles and all that stuff like that, he went right up to his mom and he goes, and he holds this thing up, and you could tell in the mother's face that she's just like, what is that? But he had a smile from ear to ear, and he said, look, Mom, I made this with my own 2 hands, and was so excited about it. And that right there, that really was more than being paid $1 million. And that's why I do this. I'm fortunate now to have a very, very supportive friends. One of my friends, Mick, we call him the Scotsman. He's been with me, for probably about 20 years now, maybe 25 years. And we actually met at a reenactment, because I've done plenty of Civil War, Revolutionary War, and medieval reenactments. And we met at a reenactment, and he stuck with me. And I'm very proud of the fact that he has graduated from being an apprentice to now taking over the blacksmith role in Black Dragon Iron and Glass and Resin. Because let's face it, I can't do both of them. I can't do blacksmith demonstrations and glass blowing demonstrations. And I can't handle all the inventory with both of them. In 2017, I had a stroke because I had open heart surgery, and I couldn't grip my hammer. And through lots of therapy, I picked up glassworking to help me with therapy. And I fell in love with it. And for my physical health, it's easier for me to sit behind a torch and glass blow than it is for me to be on my feet for hours on end doing blacksmithing. So what's great now is that when we do blacksmithing demonstrations and glass blowing demonstrations, I could pause the glass blowing demonstrations, and Mick can start doing an iron demonstration, and I could be his voice for it. And so I can sit in a chair and go over all the details of what's going on, and he can do the actual forging himself. Now, mind you, he'll argue that he's not as good as me, and that's because it takes time. You know what I mean? He's been a blacksmith now for 3 years, so he knows the fundamentals, but now he just has to hone his skills. So there's that. But now we're going into another season, and man, I'm excited. We are going to be in some major festivals this year. We're going to be back in Nazareth at Bushkill Township's Fire Company's Carnival. We're going to be at Nazareth Carnival. We're going to be at a new one for this year. We're going to be at Bloomsburg Fair, which I'm just super excited about because that's a huge event. We're also going to be at the Great Allentown Fair, possibly. I'm still waiting back for that one too. Pioneer Coal Mine Tunnel, you know, coal. Near and dear to my heart, not just because I'm a blacksmith, but because my grandparents were coal miners. My great-grandparents and grandparents were coal miners. And I spent, oh goodness gracious, almost 11 years being a tour guide at a museum that took people into a coal mine. So it was absolutely amazing. So yeah, I'm very proud of all that. And stay tuned because this is going to be amazing. We're going to try to stream, if the Wi-Fi is good enough, we're going to try to stream live at some of the events that we're doing. We're going to stream obviously in the blacksmith shop and in the glass shop. Very super excited about all of that. So don't go anywhere. Keep it up because you're going to find out that this is going to be a lot of fun. And I thank every one of you for sticking around and, you know, being part of this. Little test right here. Tomorrow we'll be back in the glass shop, so I'm going to see about dragging a microphone and a camera out there and do some glass blowing on camera and get some production work done. But as always, thank you so very much, guys. I really appreciate it. And we hope to see you next time right here on Black Dragon Ironing Glass and Resin.